Hello all, welcome to another video on Bharavase YouTube channel. Today, I have taken the Hindu newspaper for the analysis. The Hindu newspaper is very important from the exam point of view. It is very helpful in our UPSC civil service exam as well as KPSC exams and many other competitive exams. The newspaper has a very good content with respect to our exam preparation. So today, let's see what are the various important news that are very important from the exam point of view. The first one is about the Vienna Convention. Our Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, he opines that the Canada's actions they violate the Vienna Convention. So recently, what the Canada has did is it has withdrew 41 of its diplomats from India, and it has paused the working services at the consulates in various cities of India. So this violates the Vienna Convention with respect to the diplomats' security. So this unilateral action by the Canada violates the basic principle of Vienna Convention for diplomatic privileges and immunities. So let's learn what actually is Vienna Convention. The Vienna Convention, it was adopted on 14th April 1961 by the United Nations Conference on Diplomatic Intercourse. The Vienna is a place in the country Austria, and the important thing to be remembered is India has ratified the Vienna Convention. What is the meaning of ratification or ratified? Ratification is a treaty, which is an international treaty. It will be passed in the Parliament of India. When an international treaty is passed in the Indian Parliament, it becomes a ratification and it becomes binding for our country. So this Vienna Convention, this came into force on April 24, 1964, and it is ratified by most of the nations except two, that is Palau as well as South Sudan. And the Vienna Convention, it has got special rules as well as privileges and immunities that enable the diplomatic missions to act without any fear of coercion or harassment by enforcing local laws and communicate securely with their sending governments. So basic content of the Vienna Convention is mostly related to privileges as well as immunities that are provided to the diplomats. A diplomat is a representative of a country who is based in another country. Also, the convention makes provision for withdrawal of a mission. This usually takes place on the grounds of economic or even the physical security and for breach of diplomatic relations that may occur in response to abuse of immunity or even the severe deterioration in relations between sending as well as the receiving states. So here, the receiving state refers to a host nation where a diplomatic mission is located. For example, the Canada's mission is located in India, so India becomes a receiving state, whereas Canada becomes a sending state. So according to the Vienna Convention, the country which hosts the diplomatic mission will be liable for the safety as well as the security of the diplomats. So this is the basic principle of Vienna Convention. Also, you can notice two words in newspapers such as the High Commission or the Embassy. So these terms varies depending upon the state where the mission is located. If the mission is located in the Commonwealth member states, then it is called as High Commission. If it is in other country, then it is referred to as an embassy. This Commonwealth member states is the group of states which were under the British colonial rule. So later on, when they got independence, they formed a Commonwealth member states. So this is with respect to Vienna Convention. So let's see the next news. Here, the BBMP invites volunteers for Keremitra as well as Hasirumitra. BBMP is Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike. So it is the city municipality in Bengaluru. So they have invited volunteers, peoples who are willing to work as Keremitras and Hasirumitras. So this news is actually not asked specifically in our exams, but our IAS students as well as KAS students, they can use this as an example where the community is involved in protection of the wetlands as well as city lakes. So when we preserve wetlands as well as city lakes, that will be helpful in our environment conservation. So this is a very good example for the community involvement, people's involvement in the environment protection. So you can note down this as an example for your mains exam. So here is the dancing picture that is shown in the Hindu newspaper. So here the dancers are performing Garba dance. Garba dance. This is on the occasion of Navratri festival in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. So this becomes important news for our art and culture subject. So let's learn the basics of Garba dance. So this Garba dance, it's a form of Gujarati dance. You should remember the Garba dance belonging to Gujarat state. So this is mainly performed on the Navratri festival. So sometimes in our exams they usually ask the match the following match the following dances with respect to states. So you just remember the Garba dance is belonging to state of Gujarat. This fact is important from our exam point of view. The next one is editorial that actually speaks about the right to marriage. Recently, there was a discussion related to right to marriage for the homosexuals or the LGBTQI communities. So let's see what is there in this article. So here, Anand Grover, a senior advocate in the Supreme Court, he writes about the fundamental right to marriage. So he began with a Supreme Court judgment in Supriyo Chakraborty case, where the court opened there is no fundamental right to marry in our constitution. So the Supreme Court at that time opined that same-sex persons cannot marry. So this led to the harassment of same-sex couples. But later, the section 377, it was actually decriminalized by the Supreme Court in the Naz Foundation, as well as it is also known as Navtej Singh Johar. So this legitimized the consensual sex between the homosexual couples. So that led to the revolution in the privacy, right to privacy, as well as the fundamental right to live with dignity. That is Article 21 as well as Article 14 that talks about the right to equality, as well as Article 21 that talks about the life and liberty. Also, Supreme Court in the NALSA case, National Legal Service Authority case, it has given the right to identify their own gender. Suppose if someone is born as a male and if they want to identify themselves as a female, now they are permitted to do so. According to a set of procedures, they are permitted to identify their own gender. Also, the Transgender Persons Protection Act, it was passed where where it sets the procedure to change one's gender and protect against discrimination in diverse establishment, whether private or state. Also, there is a concern regarding the stigmatization of homosexuals. This the same-sex couples who will have the long-term relation will also be hoping to get married. But this in the present times is not lawful, because legally it is not allowed for homosexuals to get married. So this becomes a dragging force for the LGBTQI communities. Also, the writer opines that though in Supriyo Chakraborty case, Supreme Court has opined that there is no right to marriage, India is signatory to Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Universal UDHR is also known. So this according to this Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Article 16 actually says that men and women of full age, without any limitation due to race, nationality or religion, they have a right to marry and to found a family. So according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, everyone has got the right to marriage. So the author points to this and opines that right to marry becomes a fundamental right. Though it is not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution of India, Supreme Court in various instances has opined that right to marriage, it becomes implicit in Article 21 that speaks about right to life and liberty. Also in various other cases, such as Maneka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court has relied on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it has said, it has referred to the natural justice into the administrative process. When a person's biological orientation is towards a particular sex, it becomes a natural, right. It becomes a question of natural right for that person. So the author argues that LGBTQI communities, they should get their natural right. They should get their fundamental right of, particular, sexual orientation, as well as the right to marriage. So let's see the next news. So here in Manila in Philippines, as well as the Beijing trade blame for collusions in a disputed sea. So we all know that China is, it is projecting its hegemony in South China Sea. So now let's analyze where is this South China Sea, as well as some of the disputed sites in the South China Sea. Here the names given are the Thomas Shoal. Thomas Shoal is also a disputed region in the South China Sea. So let's see the other areas where the China has disputes with various other countries. So this is the map of South China Sea. This South China Sea is touching the borders of China, as well as several of the Southeast Asian nations, such as Vietnam, as well as Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, as well as the Philippines. So China is claiming this line, which is shown as 9-dash line. This line is referred to as 9-dash line. If in your exams, if a question is asked where is the 9-dash line located, then you should be able to answer it as South China Sea. So here, the China is having disputes with many of the nations, such as Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, as well as Philippines. So various disputed regions here are Paracel Island, Scarborough Shoal, as well as Spratly Islands. You should remember this. You should save this map, and you should keep revising so that you will remember all these disputed regions, as well as the nations with which China is having disputes in South China Sea. So here is the editorial analysis of the post-pandemic economy, as well as the employment recovery. So recent data from periodic labor force survey of 22-23, it has revealed the labor market has actually recovered, or it has strengthened, with unemployment rates falling, and the rural women's labor force participation rate, it has increased from 19.7 in 2018-19 to around 41.5% in 2022 as well as 23. So this is a significant jump in the labor force participation in rural area among women category. So this is a good recovery post COVID pandemic in the year 2020. However, there is a concern with respect to employment of women. Post-pandemic, there is increase in the self-employment of women, as well as there is increase in women working as unpaid family helper. So this has raised from around 37.9% to 43% between 2018-19 and 2022 and 23. So among the regular wage worker, the woman participation has reduced from 22 to 16%. This means woman is mainly employed in informal sector, as well as the household works. So this becomes the matter of concern, as woman in household work is actually unpaid labor. So thus her contribution is not included to calculate gross domestic product of economy. Also, when the woman is mostly employed in the informal sector, it becomes a concern for safety of the woman. So also, no, another concern adds to the economy. It is the rising rate of inflation. So when there is increase in jobs as well as income, along with the increase in inflation, that actually leads to lower income. Though the income has raised in monetary terms, when there is a increase in inflation, that actually reduces the value of money. So thereby it reduces the purchasing power of the money. Also, one need to be aware of the consumer price index. It is on this consumer price index that is actually released by NSSO, or now it is called as CSO. And this the CPI is actually published by Office of Economic Advisory under Ministry of Commerce and Industries. This fact you should remember. The CPI is released by Office of Economic Advisory under Ministry of Commerce. So this CPI is basis to calculate inflation rate, where the consumer price index refers to the prices of various goods and services which are at the consumer side, where the consumer, we the people, where when we buy the goods, it is known as the consumer goods. So the price at which we buy these goods will become the basis to calculate the consumer price index. So there is another term which is known as wholesale price index, WPI. This is the prices of goods and services, goods at the wholesale rate. This is at the consumer rate. This is at the wholesale rate. Wholesale is where the goods are sold, at the lump sum goods. The large goods will be sold to the marketers as well as the people. People who have their own retail branches. For them, these goods will be sold. So this is known as wholesale price index. So author argues, although there is improvement in the self-employment for the woman, there is rise in the inflation. So this rise in the inflation is a cause of concern, where it has reduced the purchasing power of the money. Also, in cities, the self-employed men, they have gained their earnings, with a rise from 8.9% to around 9.27%. So also there was increase in wage workers for both casual as well as regular, and the regular wage among women category in rural areas, they have seen the 35.5% growth in their earnings. And the author argues that post-pandemic, the employment as well as real income has grown for urban and rural male who are self-employed and rural women who are in a regular wage employment, but not to the household workers as well as the informal workers. And the wage workers, they have seen real earnings grow slower than their output. That indicates a reduction in the share of wages, even though growth remains healthy. Although we have seen a good economic growth post-pandemic, but the real wages, they have reduced for the self-employed as well as the wage workers. So this is further evidence for the possibility of India that has experienced a K-shaped recovery in the wake of pandemic. So the K-shaped economic recovery refers to the various industries that have recovered at different points of time. So this indicates a K-shaped recovery, and this is not a uniform recovery. So when many of the sectors, if they are recovering at the same point of time, we say it as a uniform recovery. But whereas in K-shaped recovery, various sectors will recover at various points of time. So that is called as K-shaped recovery. So these are all the important news from our exam point of view. So thank you very much.